The lesson.
Oh yeah.
Hoods obviously at one point were also on Obese.
Yeah, yeah. There's there's a rough period there where like it seemed like all the successful artists, like you had, Funkors and Draft, the Hoods, Muffin Plutonic, blah, 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 that was like almost that stable of artists kind of all moved on at one point. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's been so long ago, you know what I mean? But it's like a little bit political, a bit rough. But yeah, I don't know, it is what it is. I guess like I guess people wanted to reach that next tier of like success or whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever that is.
Well, I actually remember, because I was saying to you before, when we were coming here, I used to live in Melbourne back in the day, and I used to skate. And I actually remember, because I was listening to US hip hop before I caught on, way before I caught on to the Australian stuff. And I remember skateboarding days. That correct me if I'm wrong, but it used to be called Obies.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, even before it was in the Izzet Street spot, I remember it was at the back of a jean store. So like it was on Greville Street, and it was the back room of a clothing store. And OB used to run it. This dude from Melbourne, so it was like his thing. Oh. And then he like put the store into the Izzet Street location and then sold it. Shaz sold it to Pegz at one point, and then it became Obese. So
okay.
Obese Records.
So when it changed ownership is when the name slightly changed.
He bought the business basically.
Yeah. See,
but yeah,
I didn't make the connection for a while after that, and then I was like, oh wow, and then like you said, Draft, Oars, when all these acts, I kind of find like Obese was a bit of a golden era, in a sense.
Yeah, like because I mean, it was so like. There's a lot of people in Australia, like in that time, like the late 90s, early 2000s, that were releasing records, and I guess they were trying to attain like a standard and have it. It seemed like everything was happening at once, but definitely like I will give Pegz that props of kind of like he definitely had a vision of like he wanted it to be the quality to be of a certain level and of it to be consistent, and it was like a massive thing, like, but it was all his kind of like, he wanted to put the money into it. And like I said, like even doing stuff on Nuff Said, it was such a lot of those things were such underground things, you know what I mean? No one really, until like people started getting even airplay or there was no like real, I guess we were kind of doing national tours, but fuck man, it was on such a like a small scale, like until he really like, I'll give him props for pushing that whole movement. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's he changed the game.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Like, I think it's like that's a funny thing now. I think with a lot of younger cats that do rap or whatever in Australia, that it might be they may not understand it. Kind of like there wasn't even that network of like servicing your single to something like Triple J or whatever. That didn't really like that shit. Just didn't happen, you know what I mean? Like fucking national tours didn't really happen. No one was playing like Splendor in the Grass or whatever, like festivals and stuff. I remember like there were a few groups that like were breaking that, kind of like Resin Dogs were like an early group that were doing things like Falls festivals and stuff.
Well,
and
Resin Dogs
1200 Techniques as well.
Resin Dogs did Falls.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
No shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like I could be wrong there, but I know they were definitely like doing. In the late 90s, they were definitely like a hip hop act that made that stretch over to doing like festivals and getting airplay and stuff. But there were only a handful of them, you know what I mean? And Koolism was the early one as well. They won an ARIA pretty early on.
Yeah, that's right. And I spoke to Hal about this. I think it was.
Have you seen that footage of him?
Yeah. What? Because I remember talking to Hal about it.
But like at the time. There was that, it doesn't really happen now because no one really gives a fuck. But at the time, there was like, because we were, I say we, but like, I guess, dudes were just trying to have like, we were just trying to have our own thing and our own voice. And so like, there was the, things that sounded fake to a lot of people, like, so say using an American accent and stuff were kind of like, it just went against trying to like, when you're trying to get your own voice together and make a thing, it's sort of like, it just goes against that, I suppose. So everyone was just trying to be themselves and get on with it. And I think his statement at the ARIA Awards was kind of like, I can't quite remember it verbatim, but it was kind of something like, support the real shit or whatever, none of that fake American shit, but like fucking Black Eyed Peas was like standing behind him, and I think that he thought in that moment that like he was talking about them, because they were just like, what? And it's like, no, not you guys are cool. It's just like, but he was talking about, like, I guess he was just talking about dudes who were kind of being like fake, I guess, or perceived fakeness. Now, which no one gives a fuck about anymore.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think, because I was gonna actually ask you, because on the topic of eras, I remember that was an era where you had your Weapon X and Ken Hells.
Yeah, like I guess they would probably take the brunt of it in a way, because they were so staunchly. That was their whole style, you know what I mean? I guess they just really hung on to that thing.
Jay West was another one, I think.
Yeah, it's so political, man, like all that shit, you know what I mean? It's like so long ago, though. It just seems like, yeah.
It's crazy, though, because it's all part of the history. Why do people
give so much of a fuck, you know what I mean? But yeah, I guess like, yeah, it just like, I guess it just worked out one way, and then that kind of imploded on itself anyway. That whole like, I guess like your third generation, like it was so like eclectic, that whole scene. There was so many different people making like Australian hip hop. There was like media, like Channel V coined the phrase like Aussie hip hop that didn't really exist until they had some MC competition, and that was the thing. And there was also like another documentary called Skip Hop that I fucking hated that phrase, because it was like not really like, it was not inclusive of a lot of people that were making music at the time. And I guess what I'm trying to say is like, so all that stuff happened, and I think that dudes who had got in it through maybe the Hood's success and a few other groups, so they were like these second, third generation groups, kind of thought that they had to like have a certain persona to be like Aussie rap or whatever. So like I think that's what made that stigma kind of happen, and it sort of just imploded, kind of thing.
The lesson. 927. Oh yeah.